They want to cut $6 billion out of the economy this year so that they leave jobs at risk, they put the recovery at risk, and they put businesses at risk.
You know better than anyone here that £6 billion is not it. You revised this year's borrowing figure by more than £6 billion when you stood up to give your budget this year. So we know that that's not actually, it's a rounding error, and we've had a lot bigger revisions in borrowing. Is it really the case that this would put the recovery at risk, 0.5% of GDP?
Let's be clear, it either does matter, as George would say, or it doesn't matter, as you say. I think it does make a difference.
They want to cut $6 billion out of the economy this year so that they leave jobs at risk, they put the recovery at risk, and they put businesses at risk. They want to cut $6 billion out of the economy this year so that they leave jobs at risk, they put the recovery at risk, and they put businesses at risk.
This is a £1.5 trillion economy. Are you saying that the recovery is so fragile that $6 billion would make the difference?
As we all know, economists disagree on a lot of things. But there is one thing that they agree on, and that all the academic evidence agrees on, is if you have to cut borrowing, you should do it by cutting spending and not by raising taxes, that it's more costly to the economy to raise taxes. So why are you then still planning to raise taxes by £16 billion if you're so worried about the economy?
They want to cut $6 billion out of the economy this year so that they leave jobs at risk, they put the recovery at risk, and they put businesses at risk.
You used to be an economist. Do you seriously argue that $6 billion would make a difference, one way or the other, to a £1.5 trillion economy?
No, I wouldn't. I was describing the situation that we find ourselves in after 13 years of a Labour government, after all those boom years where they set nothing aside for a rainy day, that we are even having this discussion.
Cut the jobs of teachers and teaching assistants, care and care assistants, £6 billion worth of cuts within an emergency budget a few weeks from coming into government. The only party who wants to do it is the Conservative Party.
This is what Alistair is not spelling out, is that there are very substantial cuts already going through in the name of efficiency savings. We can see this in areas of science and further education. It's happening on a large scale, and what we believe has to happen is spelling out to the public what these cuts have got to be.
No, I mean, on that point, I mean, Alistair Darling, didn't you only 18 months ago, the end of 2008, you announced cuts in spending of £5 billion for this financial year, and at the time you said it was tough but necessary. Isn't that what George Osborne, isn't that what the Conservatives are saying?
Cut the jobs of teachers and teaching assistants, care and care assistants, £6 billion worth of cuts within an emergency budget a few weeks from coming into government. The only party who wants to do it is the Conservative Party.
Alistair Darling, let's take on this major claim that you made at the start of this programme, which is that the Conservatives are going to put the recovery at risk by taking money out of the economy. Now, you say this in the knowledge that you're taking more than £20 billion, not 6 or 7 billion like the Conservatives are proposing, more than £20 billion out of the economy this year by reversing your stimulus, by putting VAT back up. We're the only major G20 country to be doing that. Why does that not put the economy at risk?
They want to cut $6 billion out of the economy this year so that they leave jobs at risk, they put the recovery at risk, and they put businesses at risk.
that you wrecked the public finances, and in particular your boss, Gordon Brown, wrecked them when he had every chance of putting money aside.
£6 billion worth of cuts. The only party who wants to do it is the Conservative Party.
And when you repeat in that wooden and perfunctory way that our situation is better than others, that we're well placed to weather the storm, I have to tell you, you sound like a Brezhnev-era apparatchik giving the party line. You know, and we know, and you know that it's nonsense.
And I will not hesitate to go around the country every day saying the Conservative Party are now the greatest risk to the economic recovery of this country.
And soon the voters too will get their chance to say so. They can see that you are the devalued Prime Minister of a devalued government.
Yeah.